have that soft glass start because I did get to like really screw up a lot in soft glass. And then by the time I got to boro, it felt almost natural. It was kind of what I was looking for in soft glass. Like it just had that little bit of hardness that I could play with it more.
I'm Steve and welcome to another exciting Elev8 where we sit down with some cool ass artists in this industry. First, we have this really cool ambassador program. You can join as an Elev8 doll or an Elev8 gent, and it's really awesome. You get to help us build Elev8. It's super unique, super special, and you're really a part of something special. Check out Elev8ambassador.com to learn more. Another cool thing we have is our Elev8 Veterans Program. I'm really honored to be a part of it. Teresa helps run it, and it's super awesome. We get to rehabilitate and reacclimate veterans into society our way. And you know what? I think we're doing it right. Go check it out at Elev8veterans.com. Third, there's Elev8 Bingo. It's super cool, super fun, and we get to show you more of what we do. And on top of that, every game, there's a chance to win $50 credits for Elev8glassgallery.com. Go check it out. And now, let's roll into this super awesome Elev8. Welcome to Elev8. We got KristenCR Glass here today. So thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Yeah, I'm super stoked for you to be here. And I'm going to go out with the first question. How did you get into this crazy thing of glass? You got to be crazy. You got to be nuts. And what motivated you and brought you into this?
It was kind of funny, actually. I started school for computer science, and I was kind of frustrated with the way they were teaching it in school. I had never actually done, I had done a lot of it out of school, but that was the first time I had done it in school. And I was very frustrated with how they were teaching it. So I was just kind of going through all of their class lists, and 30 pages down, there was a glassblowing class, and it was soft glass. And I went there every week, and it was one of those things where it went from this thing to kind of de-stress to I thought about it every day until I got there. It was my respite. I ended up calling my parents and being like, hey, so I know I went to school for computer science, but I'm thinking about dropping out and looking for a glassblowing place to learn. And they were very hesitant, but they went with it. They were super cool. And I came back to California and I found Revere Glass, and I learned there with Los1 Glass. Carlos makes amazing stuff. I don't know if you've seen his work. He does a lot of trees and a lot of beautiful stuff. And I got there as an 18-year-old, and I was cocky as shit. I remember, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear.
No, yeah, it's hell yeah. This is cool. The real thing. It's real life, and shit fucking happens, plain and simple.
Exactly. I was a little 18-year-old, and I got in there and I was like, I want to make a figure. And he was like, well, we could make some dabbers. And I was like, I really just I've been sculpting my whole life, and I really want to make a figure. And I just really want to see if I can do it in this medium. And surprisingly, he went with it, and he was like, I have never made a figure before, so here's the deal. We're gonna sit and you're gonna tell me what to do sculpting wise, and I'm gonna tell you how to heat the glass. And so he went through, and I was telling him, how would you pull this thing this way and carve right there, or and so he made a figure, and I was teaching him how to make a figure. And then he sat and let me do the same thing. And he's like, oh, heat that part a little more. And so the first thing I ever made in glass got to be, or in borosilicate glass rather, I made a lot of little cups and things in that soft glass.
Yeah, glass. You had already kind of so it is your first lesson there, but you had already kind of had some experience with glass. You understood how it works, whether it cools down faster or slower, but the heat base and.
Exactly. I feel cool to have that soft glass start, because I did get to really screw up a lot in soft glass. And then by the time I got to boro, it felt almost natural. It was kind of what I was looking for in soft glass. It just had that little bit of hardness that I could play with it more. I've always kind of been drawn to the really weird, hard borosilicate colors. There's certain ones that are super stiff, and for some reason those are my favorite. I love playing with that kind of stuff. But yeah, Carlos was awesome. He just sat and let me do a lot of sculpting, and I would ask him a bunch of questions. It was wonderful to get into this medium, because it's kind of how approach this entire medium now is like, oh, I'm just going to keep sculpting and finding ways to make it like thing that I can sell, like putting a pipe in it. Like it's been so fun. I really enjoy
Right.
glass.
So, like, how long ago was that when you started? You said you were 18. Yeah. When I was looking, I was like, man, this girl's really young, and your art is really nice. And sometimes you get confused. I do. If I see somebody young, I don't expect to see something so beautiful yet. And so, how long have you been blowing, and when was that when you started?
I really appreciate that. I started, okay, let's see. I think it's been 7 years now. I'm
Oh,
25.
wow. Right. Okay.
Um,
So you got 7 years into it. And is that just the Boro? Was
yeah, it was
that
a lot.
the soft plus Boro?
So I would say that's like soft glass. I pretty much did that for like 3 months. And then I was like, I really need to be doing this more. I was going there. It was kind of funny. It was a big trek in Boston, and it was one of their worst winters they had had in like 10 years. And I was taking 2 trains to get to this place. And I remember like you'd be walking there, and all of a sudden there'd just be this like wall of snow, and you're like, okay, maybe I'll walk around the other side. Like you have to like fully trek back through this like thing that they made through the snow, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna find another path that takes me there. It
Right,
was a
right.
wild ride. It was very hard to get there, and I was excited to like get into doing it more often too, because I could only go every week. That was as much as they had allowed us to go.
Right.
So I was very like itching to get going on something else. So as soon as I got back, I was Boro.
And like you said, with
So
that itch you get from it, like you got to do it the next day. Like you just did something, I got to see it, and can I improve it? Can I do it again? Can I try? And so yeah, it's how do you?
exactly. I was like, I need to keep going. Like right now, I've been doing a couple of stuff for like the last couple of days, and I haven't been able to blow glass for like 3 days. And my brain's like, glass, like we need to get back to it. And
Yeah.
like I'm so excited because I'm gonna have a really awesome session after we get out of here. I'm gonna go blow. And like I just love that feeling that I've been blowing glass for 7 years and I can't take 3 days off without getting like, I need to get back to my torch.
That's really neat, and like I know everybody can't be a glass blower, and we can't always do exactly what we want to do, but glass blowing's fun and it's great, but you got to sell your stuff, you got to market, so it's hard work. It's just if everybody could find that passion in life, to where you're like, oh, I can't wait to do it. It'd be so much
It's
better.
so worth it.
Yeah.
It is worth all of that effort of being like your own promoter, your own salesperson, like being the entire business. That stuff is really hard work. And I am not a huge fan of being a salesman, but I absolutely love my work, and I love being able to like push myself and get into new things. And like, I feel like I'm finally hitting that point of my skill where I feel like I can start making the things that I've been like drawing my whole life. And like, I'm really excited. That's going to be a cool new push this year. You're going to see hopefully some really fun new projects in like a different thing that I've been doing, which is going to be really fun.
Nice. So you said sculpturing, you wanted already sculpturing glass because you had been doing it. What mediums were you using before this? And do you find it helped with your glass?
Absolutely. I feel like the main thing for me is when I make a piece, I like to be able to see it in my as I'm making it. Like I kind of have like a 3D thing of what I want to be happening as I am creating that piece. And if I don't have that, I feel like the piece doesn't come out as good as I want it to. And that might change and flow with the piece as I make it. Being able to see what I want to happen, I feel like because I got to make so many things, and I got to feel what it felt like to make that shape so many times in my life, or draw that shape so many times in my life. And I looked at so many references, and I went to some classes of like, one of the things that was so helpful was going to a bunch of figure classes and getting to like just stare at the human form in 3D and like get to draw that. That really solidified that in my brain. And so it was really fun to in glass because you can't touch it. That's one of the things that's so interesting for it for me was like I was so used to that like tactile part of art where I could feel myself making the shape, but it became so much gravity and timing and like watching it, and it's
That
such a
dance.
different form of meditation, and I love it.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
Yeah. So did you have a mentor, or do you still have a mentor as you're growing? I know Los, you said, was helping you out at the beginning. Did you have others as well?
Los was wonderful. I went to a CHA class like at year 5, and that was such a huge like explosion for me because I had pretty much for like after Los for like 5 years, I pretty much sat in a basement and I blew glass, and I was maybe like looking back a little earlier than I should have stopped having help. But it was kind of cool because I learned how to blow glass in a way that I feel like is very my own. I had to figure out like every little thing. And as I've been traveling over the last year, this is pretty much this year, maybe a year and a half now, has been the first time I've really been like out in the glass community. I was such a hermit. I like really enjoy being in my little art space in my zone. But it's been really cool because like I've been getting comments on how I blow glass of like, oh, that's really different how you do that thing. And it's like kind of been cool because I've been learning all of the ways that I could have learned to blow glass from someone else.
Right.
And that's
and now you can hybridize it or keep going with yours, and that's the thing is, no matter what, you got to get your own stuff down, whether somebody's teaching you, like you got to figure it out. And so knowing it in your style sometimes really helps out.
And I don't want to forget Lacey too. Laceface Glass has been a wonderful mentor for me. I went to her class. Ooh, man, I'm trying to think. It was very soon after the CHA class. And she like let me come work at her studio and watch her work. She's been very, very wonderful in the last like year or so. I've appreciated it so much.
Yeah, I agree. She's a rock star. I'm waiting to get an interview with her. But yeah, she's a rock star, and just not just crushing it in the glass world, but she is like obliterating it as a female and just completely, like I'm always like, I like the underdog. I don't care what you are, right? But so I like that in this world, females are the underdog. So when you see that, it's like fucking A, man.
Dude, she is so badass, and I love like her energy. She's such a cool like person to have in this community. Like I love being around her. She's such a badass, like just in every way.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. So talking about classes, you've taken a few classes. It sounds like they've helped you out. Do you feel that classes are that great, and do you want to take more classes?
I definitely want to take more classes. I love just being in that kind of environment that's like fully about learning. Just like people experiment so much in that space. I love watching people work in general. I feel like that's been really huge for me. Like over the last like 2 months, I was working at Ryan Turf's shop, and I was watching Jared's glass work a whole bunch. And it was really funny. He does a bunch of sleeving, and I was pretty much horrible at sleeving. I didn't really do it. It was not something that I really focused on. And I watched him do that for like 2 months. And then I tried sleeving something the other day. And I had tried it once or twice while I was there as well. And he was like, that was weird. Don't do that. And like, I tried it this time. I was like, dude, I did a perfect sleeve. And I like sent him a picture of it. Like, I feel like there's so much learning to be had just being around other people. Mm-hmm. So like, I am excited to do more classes and like, just keep traveling.
And that's really neat what you said there. Finding a studio that you can work in, going into a place like that and working around some great artists, even if they're working, and really I suggest to all artists, don't go into a studio and start asking questions and shit, because those motherfuckers are there to work. That's why they're good. But what it allows you to do is kick back and watch them. And then on their breaks, you can have conversations, and they want to help. Everybody loves helping, but absolutely, there has to be a trade there. But sitting back watching, you can gain so much, and having that ability. And, then they can also, as you learn, they want to teach you because they might need help or do little collaborations and things and stuff. So
exactly. And I have a collab going with him right now. It's really fun to be able to do both. Like, like we're working on really cool things together, but I'm learning so much too. Like, oh my gosh, that was the first time I've really worked with line work. And I told him that before I worked with the section. I was like, this is going to be my first time doing a line work section that isn't like this big. So, but it's coming out really good. I'm really excited about that collab. It's going to be really fun. Biggest turtle I've made yet.
Nice, nice. So collaborations, do you find yourself doing collaborations with people a lot, and do you like them, and it sounds like you grow from them as well.
Absolutely. I really enjoy collaborations. I take time off of them like sporadically because I want to be able to put like all of my energy into them. And sometimes I need to like just be focusing on my work. But I absolutely love them. I like go on bouts of them. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm really feeling like I can do collabs now. I'll hit up all the people that I love and I've been meaning to collab with. And like it's definitely fun. And as I travel, sometimes they just like happen sporadically too. Like the ones I made a cool collab with a couple of people at that shop. I have my, oh, where is it? There it is. We got the little turfs hammerhead that we made with his sections. I also made a little
Yeah.
turtle with one of his sections too.
Man, it's so great working on collabs because you work on your thing and you do that, but when you add somebody else in there, it just enhances. And so each blower just really enhances whether you're working for somebody else or on their design or they're doing yours. Either way, it enhances like both things. So
Absolutely. It's so cool. I love like the creative aspect of it, looking at someone else's work and figuring out how it would combine into a cohesive piece with your own. Like it creates so many new ideas. It's so
it's a and another part of the puzzle. And I think for me, glass blowing is all about the puzzle. Just keep fixing it. What's a new tool? What's a new method? What's this? Or how can I take this person's? And yeah,
totally.
it,
I really enjoy that part of like this getting to like travel and stuff too, because like I pretty much spent most of my time like by myself in my studio. So I didn't really get to do a lot of glass talk. But like the other day I was at a studio and we were like looking at this guy's piece and we were like, okay, so how did he do that marble? Like what did he do to get that thing to go there? And like we were sitting and like I think we figured it out and it was just like a really fun, like I feel like you learn a lot from that too. You're just like having fun with your buddies trying to figure out what the heck that guy did to make that marble so cool. Like it's just a fun thing to get to be in this community.
it is. It's
Kind
something
of new for
special.
me still, even though I've been blowing glass for such a long time. I kind of like forgot to be in the community for a while, and it's really fun to get back to it.
Right. Do you feel a question I usually ask is, do you have a time in your career where you had a big change? Do you feel like now is happening where you're getting out and that's your change?
Totally. This last year was a huge change for me. I've been doing a lot of things that weren't glass over the last 5 years. A lot of them have been wonderful, but it's really exciting that like this past year has been like I'm really gonna put all of my focus into like me and what I like this, and this is like what I really want to be doing, and like so it's cool. I feel like I went to my first trade show like in the beginning of last year, and then I did my second one. I'm like have a bunch planned for this year. So it's like a bunch of new cool things, really trying to like delve into glass.
Right. Have you got to be in any kind of events like competitions or just like melt events or anything like that?
I haven't done any of them yet. I really want to do some of the competitions. I feel like it would be fun just to participate, like be around those cool people and get to compete with them. I feel like that would be a really cool thing. So hopefully I get the stuff figured out for both of those.
Yeah. Do you like the pressure that a competition would bring?
I love that kind of stuff. I don't know what it is. It just like it adds, I like that adrenaline. Like I like pieces. I often am making something that is like fully like the most I can do, either physically big wise or just complicated wise, because I like that like stress that comes with it. It's like good stress. It's like this is something I want to happen so bad that it like kind of freaks me out.
Right.
And I feel like it would be the same kind of good stress from a competition of like, yes, there's so much good energy. I really want to make this happen. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's another reason I got into glasses. It's very adrenaline. Like you're working
Absolutely.
with something that's like a 2000 degree, 3000 degree flame, like in very hot glass. And like when you're working on a piece that's huge too, you can feel it, like it's your entire body being used to make that happen. And like it's so hot in front of you. Like it's amazing. I love that stuff. Like when you put it in the kiln, you're just like, oh, like I need to just sit.
It's a wild ride. It's a lot of pains and a lot of pleasures. And I think glass is kind of like a almost it just really just shows you what life is. It's a ups and it's a downs. It's a motherfucking bitch out there. But if you wrestle it and you take control and you put your all into it, you can make some shit happen. And I don't know. I like glass. I just fucking love it.
Now, glass is very cool. And I definitely feel you about it teaching you about life too. Like, I feel like that's a very, like, I used a lot of patience and like the way that I go about things, like, of like when something goes wrong, you just kind of calm down. And you're like, okay, what are the ways that I can go about this to make this fixed or make this happen? And it's kind of like a cool way to look at life. And like nothing's too permanent. Like you might get something 90% done and you might do something wrong. And that's part of the learning process. Like I made this piece that I was trying to finish before Glass Vegas, and it is like a culmination of like what I was talking about before. That's like all my drawing stuff. Like I'm wrong. It was totally my fault, and I broke the piece. And like that's a part of it. And I still like I don't regret spending a single moment on that piece. It was such a learning experience. And I loved, even like in the moment of breaking it and trying to fix it, I loved all of the things I felt there. I didn't freak out. I was like, okay, let's try to stitch this back together. Okay, that's not happening. I'm going to put it in the kiln. It'll be a relic and I'm going to try again.
Right. It's about that, just doing it, making the decision, like, because in life you got to make a decision. If an animal's coming at you, you either got to attack it back or run from that thing. But you got to do it now. If you just sit there, and that's what glass, I think, teaches you. Make the decision, get it over with, and deal with that decision. If it worked out, great, and learn from it. If it didn't, sorry, but hopefully you learn from that too.
Exactly. No, it's a wonderful way to look at life. Like, I feel like every glass blower goes through that thing in the beginning where like every piece they break is such a heartbreak. And like, I feel like I've made some of the best pieces ever, and they don't exist because I screwed them up, but like I loved making them. Like it was wonderful. And it's a part of the experience, is like getting to try and make that thing. Like you don't even know if you're going to make something good looking every time you try to make something. And that's
fun.
But
right.
I like that.
Yeah. What's the most amount of time that you've put into a piece?
So it's an interesting thing, because this last piece I would say is the most time I've ever put into something, but it's on the idea. So I had to spend like 6 months building skills to make this piece, because I didn't know how to do a lot of things to make it happen. And I knew that I was going to be really like rusty at certain parts of the build. And like, I hadn't worked on certain things like that before. So I spent like 6 months really working on that and like making different pieces like adjacent to it.
Right.
And then I finally felt like I could make the piece. And one of the wonderful things about actually having made that piece, and even though it didn't survive, the parts of it that I did and that I learned worked. The thing that went wrong is I've never made a piece that gigantic before, and now I know how to grab a piece that gigantic. Before I did not.
And sometimes it's that simple, of just grabbing it or just this, and it's like,
exactly.
Fuck, are you telling me that's all it was?
It literally, I threw it. And so it was a piece with like small components coming out of a head. So the small components got very upset with me when I I like threw it and I tried to grab it. And like, I just like grabbed the small pieces in a weird way. And like, it was not good, I just basically like threw it and then crushed it. It was a really good moment.
A good learning what not to do.
Right. But I thought about it, and not only can I make the piece stronger right there the second time, by doing like, I have an idea for where the bridge can be, and it's going to be way stronger. And I had a second thing. What was my second thing? I know how to grab it now.
Right.
I like know how to grab a larger piece now, because before I was trying to grab it with like just a giant cloth. And although that works with a lot of larger pieces, the shape of the piece that I'm making, I should have just used my grabbers.
Just the tongs or just grabbers?
Yeah. I should have just tonged it. And it's funny because I got worried and I tried it with a method I hadn't really used before.
I've never used the whole like grabbing it with the things there. I always feel, fuck, it's so close to my hands. How long do I got here? What do I got? And then how do I put in the kiln? Tongs are easy. I
had 5 pairs of gloves on, and that's why I threw it on the floor. But
because you can't grab shit. You got so much.
I didn't throw it on the floor. I misspeak. I threw it on the bench really hard, and then I didn't fully hit the floor. But I just threw it. And tongs would have been better because there was a place to grab it with the tongs. But yeah, I learned how to make that piece, and I made him. That piece took like 6 months of skill building. So I'm very excited to make it again. You're definitely going to see it in the next couple of weeks. It's going to happen.
Hell yeah. Do you have a favorite color you really like to work with?
Oh, that's hard. I've really been into the Colorado Color Company like solid series. I know that's not one color.
No,
but they basically they just like back all one color. And it's just super stable, and it like you can use some really pretty fun colors, and they are a really stable, beautiful thing, and it's really fun to work with. I don't know what else is my favorite color. I really like working with Star White. It's a simple one, but I really enjoy that. It's just like a really nice working color.
That's really neat you say that. You know, I hear a lot of times I'll say, and I'll ask you this, what color don't you like? And it'll be a Star White. So I like to wonder, you know, what it is, why it isn't, and how can somebody not like this color because it boils and it does all this shit on them, but another person likes it. And I think that's knowing the heat base. And
granted, I have a lot of gaps in what I know too. most of my cadmiums are encased at this point. Like I can encase them well, but I really want to learn to get better at my heat base with cadmiums. I know it's just sitting there and fucking them up, but I haven't done that yet. I'm just like,
I'm going to say, just don't even ever worry about it. Keep encasing it. Cause you know, you work a cadmium and you get one spot on there. It's all fucked.
That's my whole thing is like, I'll get like 70% done with a piece, and then I'll get a little bubble. And then it's like, it's always like right here on a face or something. And it's like, my girl has some not so good looking thing happening on her lip. Like, what do I do here?
Right.
I don't know. Like cadmiums are interesting. I don't often work with sparkles. There's not really a reason for it. It just hasn't ended up in my work. And because of that, I'm kind of like, I don't know the like ins and outs of it too well. I'm working on actually with my first lined project ever. It also has sparkles on the other half of it. So it's going really well so far. I've never really worked with sparkles that much, so that's fun.
Hey, I love sparkles if it's dichro or iridizing or there's some other stuff. I don't care.
Yeah, it's really funny. I don't know why I haven't really done much of that. I've worked with dichro one time. And I liked how it came out, but I really want to try it again.
And that's a whole process, dichro too. If you want to do it, you almost got to spend 6 months in it and try all the different things and learn the things, and because it's a whole rabbit hole itself.
No, absolutely. I definitely like, that's one of the reasons I haven't done a lot of color techniques. Like, it's kind of funny thing. I've never done a wig wag. I haven't really done a lot of that kind of stuff because I've been so focused. I have so many goals in sculpting that I have yet to crush. So like, I
And
feel
that's the
like,
thing. There's so much out there, and you know, you'll have time.
I know I want to try all that stuff just to, well, mostly because my last name's Riccatello and it sounds a lot like Reticello. So I feel like I need to at least have made a Reticello. Um,
Hell
I get
yeah.
that all the time. Like when I signed up for Las Vegas for the first time, Amy calls me and she's like, "Is your last name Reticello?" I feel like she was just screwing with me, but like it's so close. It's spelled really close.
So
And
you
like
were
my
meant for
parents and I tried
glass.
to make it sound that way, granted, but
Right.
like it's very close sounding,
Hell yeah, you were meant for glass.
right?
Do you consume cannabis yourself?
I do.
Do you? Do you prefer the flower, the concentrate, the edible, or the whole plant?
I kind of flip back and forth between concentrates and flour. That's my main thing. I like an edible every once in a while. They've started making edibles that work for me. I think it was just like that when I was a teenager, they used to make really bad edibles. And like sometimes they were great and sometimes they were awful. And I never really got used to the fact that they're good now.
Right, right.
But like I like edibles. I'm like slowly turning to them.
So you're a whole plant person.
Yeah, whole plant. Long story, but yeah, whole plant.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. Um, and then what can we look forward to you from in the future?
I'm really excited to start doing more of the pieces that are a lot of the things that like I think about and trying to express that kind of stuff. Like I feel like my drawings are typically like things that just are coming out of my brain, and I really enjoy that. And I post a little bit of my drawings on my page, but I would really like to start having similar things in glass where you can start to see a little bit of who I am. Like I really, really enjoy making the ocean pieces. They mean a lot to me. I really like science. I like learning little facts about all the different things I make. Like that makes me really happy. But I'm really excited to also have this other part growing that I feel like I can start being like, okay, maybe I'm going to start expressing more in my glass. Like I feel like at first it was more like I wanted to build the skills to get to a place where I felt like I could express it properly.
Mhm.
And I'm excited to feel like I'm getting to that place. Like I feel like that piece that I totally exploded the other day, that's like on that. That's very like in the realm of things I want to be
So we
like
get to
talking
see
about
you
and
here
showing.
coming out because you've got
Yeah,
the skills.
exactly. I'm not very good at expressing it verbally. That's one of the reasons why I love art, and I would love to be able to like I feel like a lot of the things that I want to be able to express that my brain just kind of goes blah 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 when I try to say it with words like are very easily expressed for me through art, and that's kind of how it's always been in my life.
Right.
And I really enjoy that, and I would love to be able to like bring that into like my main form of art that my life has been in lately. So
Do
that
you
would be cool.
do you find you still have the same passion and desire for glasses when you first started?
I feel like it's really different. Like it's a still very passionate, but it's kind of like glass is a relationship in a way. You have to like love it, and there are going to be moments where you're frustrated with it. There's going to be moments where you like, I don't know, you don't post enough, you don't do something that right with your other part of it, and you're going to get frustrated with it. But I absolutely love it. Like it's kind of this like old love, you know, where it's like I would never leave it. It's something I always am going to come back to. Like I took 3 days off. I try to do that often. Like I'll put the things I need to do or like going to see some friends in like a 3 day block. So like I take time off of glass and then I get that like, ooh, I need to get back on the torch, you know, like I know my brain and I know how to keep it wonderful for me. And you
Crazy. You're
kind
pretty young for understanding that shit. Like seriously, you know, it
of,
seems like you got that under control or decently. You're planning out your stuff really well. You know, just to know that it's going to take me 6 months to get to this piece. You know, to make a shift in school to go to a different school. It's crazy, you know, and in computer science, if you think about that, you're told, I'm sure, that the job is super solid, it's perfect, it's everything and this and that. And then you go do art and it's a completely different thing. And it's just nuts because I heard you in the beginning. It's just I've been thinking about it, like, it's been a long time since I've been to school and whatnot, but and things have changed in the schooling. Now they want schooling to be free, which that can be said, but we all need to learn. We need the education.
Absolutely.
But you said something there at the beginning that they were giving you these classes that you didn't agree with, that it didn't make sense. And that seemed like a big, almost breaking point for you to luckily find this glass thing. Absolutely. Like, why do you think that college is not basically an a la carte to where you can go ahead and get the education and learning that you want, not that they're selling on you? Like, I don't understand that.
It's very hard to see that for me as well, because like I feel like I am taking more classes, I'm learning more often than I was when I was in college, because I still take math classes. I still love that. Like I have a bunch of math classes on my computer. Calculus is my favorite.
And how much do those classes cost?
You can free. Khan Academy is free.
Holy shit! And it's free and it's over the internet. Yet over the last 2 years, they tried to do all this shit for internet learning, but they had Khan there. I'm sorry, we're going on to another level, but this is something that
seriously, you can find so much free learning. Oh, it paused. I didn't interrupt you.
No, that's fine. But right, like education is important, but schooling, I feel like we've been bamboozled out of the thing. It's not quite what it's meant to be. It's to pay these people who can't do stuff, while everybody who goes to college learns things, great things. Because that's what it's for. But could we not have learned those things maybe from high school, from our parents, from a job, and the internet now?
And it's so frustrating because, like, granted, college works wonderfully for some people, but there are so many different kinds of brains out there that I wish there was more accommodation for that. Like, one of the things that was really frustrating is I absolutely love reading, but I am not a fast reader. And it's something I now enjoy in my pastime, but the main thing I had to do in my programming school was read all of these sections every night, and you have to like write at the end of each section. It was like an electronic thing that you were doing. You had to like write all these things to say that you had read it, and like it was kind of like a memorization thing. And it was very weird for me because I am very programming. That works for my brain. That was something that I understood. But they were spending 90% of the time reading, and I was trying to show them like, hey, you see that I'm doing really well in your labs, right? Can we do something to help me with this? And they just kind of have another option for me, which was really frustrating because it kind of was starting to like totally burn me out, because I was having to do all this reading, let alone like on a computer, for like hours and hours a day. And like when some people could get it done in a couple hours, not how it worked for me. Mm-hmm. Like I'm a slow reader. Mm-hmm. And I didn't go to school for reading, unfortunately. Like I would love, and I don't know. It was frustrating. Like I feel like there is another way. Like I'm a very avid learner. I love to continue learning, but I am very hesitant to ever go to an actual school again, because I feel like they're going to ask me to do a lot of things that are going to make me less likely to want to learn.
If you're paying, you should go to that school and not give a fuck about what grade you get, not give a fuck about what you do. You're the one spending the money. What the fuck does it matter? Right? So to me, it's about controlling you, to getting you to do these things, to complace you maybe. I don't know what's going on, but it's nuts that we're fed that if you don't go to school, you're an absolute loser. And there's jobs out there that we need. We need electricians, plumbers, house cleaners, and maybe we don't need people feeling like they're a loser because they didn't go to school.
And it's really frustrating too, because like I feel like I learned a lot of stuff that my friends who went to school didn't have the advantage of learning until after they got out of school, like how to take care of money, how to like figure out how to buy groceries correctly and not spend too much, and like
Shouldn't
have
that
the
be
right
done
amount
in
of
high
food
school? It wasn't that home ec in high school? Wasn't that what those programs were fucking for?
I know. I feel like they could have like home ec that was less like divisive in like 60s, you know, and like actually made it something that worked for people now. Like if they made
the
it
real
something
world,
everyone went to school, everyone has to learn how to cook, everyone learns how to do this shit. I feel like that would be a really good thing for people. Like that was huge for me over the last like whatever 7 years of living on my own. I really learned how to cook for myself, and like I enjoy that now. Whether it was something that I could like do, but like being able to cook for yourself and also know that you're buying the right amount of food to be able to sustain yourself and all that stuff is a big learning curve, or it definitely was for me. And I didn't have someone telling me all of that my whole life. And like my parents are great, you know, not but like you don't know everything that you're supposed to tell your kid. And
there's
feel
no
like,
book out there. Nobody fucking knows. And think about most people. I don't know. Most people are having kids in their fucking teens to 20s when they don't know what the fuck's going on yet. So how can you teach that?
And seriously, and I feel like they taught me a lot of wonderful things, but you're gonna like miss things. Like it's just gonna happen. Like you're a human being. And like,
and it's okay.
It's right. And I feel like that's when school comes in, right? Like that's when school is supposed to come at one thing. I had like an hour class in my high school that was really helpful. And I was like, why is this not longer? When seniors were leaving school, they were like, okay, rent an apartment and budget yourself in San Francisco. And they had us like sit down and do that. And they gave us a budget of how much we were making and stuff. And I really wish the class was longer than an hour.
I'm sorry you got that, because what you just said there, I got really special. I had this teacher, Mr. Abeta, in 3rd grade, and I luckily got him in 6th grade. But we created our own society. We all had to get a job. We had to get a business. We had to make something. We had to do this. We had to do this. We had to make our own money. And it was so great. I don't know how we taught 3rd graders, but it was so great when they did it again. I got to do the same class, but it was like a 2-week class. And I felt that taught me so fucking much. And, you know, it wasn't the norm. I don't know how he did it, but that's what we need. We need people to know how to go out there and fight the real battles of life. And I don't know, man. I guess we're getting off on a different subject. I really wanted to mention this because I'm such a thing on schooling, and we need education. But
I have like way too much to say about this. I totally feel you. Like, and there's like emotional management, and there's so many things that like you could help teach kids that like would help them with their success in life.
Because you're right, our parents don't fucking know it. And let's just accept that we don't know everything. And we're not going to be able to teach our kids. And that's what society is about. And I'm all for capitalism, but we're also a society which needs some social programs. And it's this.
I feel you. I feel like we have a conversation to be had about this. Like,
yeah, well, maybe we'll have another conversation. I feel we're going off tangent. I think the one thing I want to know is, where is the best place where we can go find your glass? Is it Instagram, Facebook? Do you have a website? Where's the best place?
So definitely my Instagram has the most stuff. I have a website. You can check me out at KristenCRGlass.bigcartel.com. And where else can you see me? I do have a Facebook, little less updated, mostly Instagram and website. You can DM me, and I have a bunch of really fun stuff available at the moment.
Fresh. And we'll get some of that stuff and post it up throughout. And
yeah. That'd be awesome.
Well, Kristen, this was a super awesome time. I was a little nervous. I mean, you were probably half my age, and I was like, I don't know. But again, it blew my, it was just a fucking great time. Smiles, 100%. So
I've had a wonderful time. I really appreciate you having me. This has been so much fun.